In 2012, Kari Farver disappeared from Omaha, Nebraska. Her vehicle was later found abandoned. Messages from her phone and social media accounts indicated she had decided to distance herself from her family and friends. But has she? Welcome back to our channel, folks. Today we're diving into a case that's both haunting, sad, and shocking to say the least. Before we go to the place where all this happened, let's first go to Council Bluffs, Iowa. Dave Krupa was born in 1972. He is a simple, easygoing man and a father of two. Dave, a mechanic by profession, had been working at an automobile shop at a gas station where he met his girlfriend, Amy Flora, in 2001. Amy was working night shifts at the gas station store. They had 2 children together but never got legally married. On July 4, 2011, he called off his 10-year relationship with Amy Flora. The separation was amicable, and both parties were happy and both wanted to see other people. The reason for the split was that they never got quality time for each other. Dave was working days while Amy was working nights. Dave, 34 at the time, moved out of their shared apartment in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and relocated to Omaha, Nebraska. He opened up his own automobile repair shop there and rented an apartment close by his shop. His new apartment wasn't far away from Amy and their children's home either, so he can visit his kids as much as he wants. He was single at the time and had just started a new life. He was lonely and sought to meet someone through a dating service. He was merely seeking for something casual and was not interested in a committed relationship at the moment. He signed on to a dating site and came across a profile called Liz Golyar. Liz Golyar was born in Michigan in 1975. Her father had died when she was just a baby. Her mother died in an accident when her car went off-road, so Liz went to the foster system until she was adopted. After graduation, she settled in Omaha, Nebraska. She has a cleaning company and she loves animals. She had 2 dogs, a cat, and a big snake. Like Dave, she also had 2 children from a previous relationship. Dave and Liz would match on the dating site and send each other messages and set up a date. They went to a dance club and had a fantastic time, drinking and dancing. Just to make sure, he explained to her that he was just looking for something casual and was still seeing other girls. From the nightclub, the couple went to his apartment to spend the night together. On the following morning, Liz left his apartment. One day, a woman appeared in front of Dave's auto repair business as he was working on a car. He noticed a beautiful woman standing in the front of her automobile. She strikes him as incredibly nice and sophisticated. He was taken aback by her beauty. A spark developed between them as soon as he spoke to her. Kari Farver is her name. Kari was a tall, slim woman and soft-spoken. After the problem was fixed, she said goodbye, got into her car, and drove away. He never thought he'd see Kari Farver again, but as luck would have it, he thought wrong. Dave returned to the dating site again 2 weeks later, hoping to meet other ladies in the area. He came upon a profile that he believed he recognized. His eyes brightened up the moment he saw it. It was the woman who had visited his auto repair shop 2 weeks earlier. She was single. He was delighted because he had a thing for the lady. At the other end, Kari Farver too remembered him, and so they matched, texted, and agreed to go on a date. They went to Applebee's for their first date. Kari made clear to him that she was not interested in any long-term commitment and that it was just for fun. Dave smiled and replied, "Yup, I'm up for it." It was fun from the moment they sat down. Their date was going pretty well. She was smart and sexy. He learned she has a teenage son named Maxwell, known only by Max, who stays with his grandparents. After their second date, Dave took Kari home. No sooner had they took their jackets off than Dave got a call from Liz, and he discovered that she had already made approximately 20 missed calls in a 10-minute period. That is pretty aggressive. Dave felt something was off and excused himself from Kari before calling Liz. Liz explained to him that she had left some items at his place a few weeks ago and needed to pick them up right away. This was strange. Their date was abruptly cut short, forcing them to call it off for the night. Kari went away. Kari Farver, a computer programmer by profession, works just 3 streets away from Dave's home. They would often meet because they were so close. Their connection was more than just hookups and parties. It also included some quality time where they shared their personal experiences, struggles, and likes and dislikes. Though both had made it apparent that this was not a serious relationship, it would continue to evolve, and he really likes her. Soon, she would even move in with him to be closer to her workplace. On November 12th of 2012, something happened that would change Dave's life forever. Carrie was at Dave's house, and Dave was busy working on automobiles at his repair shop. In the afternoon, he received a message from Carrie inviting him to move in with her. Dave was taken aback and confused because she was the one who had made it clear to him that she was not interested in a serious relationship. He gave a straightforward reply, no. It had only been a couple of weeks. What was she thinking? He continued with his work. Minutes later, he got a barrage of text messages which were getting more and more unpleasant. She responded aggressively, saying she would never see him again and that he should get lost. Dave was very confused. He returned to his apartment at lunch break and found Carrie missing, as well as all of her belongings. He was a little disappointed that things didn't end well, but he decided to move on with his life and put everything behind him. Carrie also stopped showing up for work after that day, and her manager was unable to contact her. For a couple of days, Dave didn't hear anything from her, but then he started receiving texts from her. The messages began quietly, but gradually became increasingly violent, with regular use of harsh language. They were ruder, and occasionally even menacing. He doesn't understand why she would be pestering him. He guessed she took the note pretty harshly. Carrie's mother, Nancy, who was caring for Carrie's son, Maxwell, had not heard from Carrie in days and had reported her missing to the police. Carrie had told her mother about dating a guy named Dave in Nebraska, so police went to talk to him at his auto repair shop. They asked him, "Did you know Carrie Farver?" Dave replied that he knew her but was unaware of her whereabouts. Dave is now in the hot seat because he was the last person to see her. He then showed them the messages he'd been receiving from her, and their entire demeanor changed. They assumed she was going through a nasty breakup and would return shortly. Days after reporting her daughter missing, Nancy begins to receive messages from Carrie. Carrie initially justified her whereabouts in the text messages, stating that she was only experiencing a difficulty with Dave and had recently started a new job in Kansas. She informed her mother that she was busy and needed some time. She assured Nancy that she loved her and would return soon. She even wished her on Mother's Day. But what's weird is that Carrie only responded to her messages and never answered her phone. Liz Golyar, Dave's former date, once came up to his apartment and showed him the exterior of her car, which had been severely scarred with a hard, pointed object. Liz complained that Carrie had been the offender, as she claimed in her texts to Liz. The text stated, "If you do not leave Dave alone, I will do more." Carrie was clearly jealous of Liz and began harassing her too. Carrie never stopped sending abusive texts to Dave. He tried banning her phone number, but she texted him from several other phone numbers and never stopped. However, he was unable to block them quickly enough. She texted him at work, at a restaurant, at his home, and even while he was driving. Carrie appeared to be following him wherever he went. She could see his every movement. Tired of her nagging and threatening behavior, he hired a private investigator to find out where she was observing him from. She could observe what he was doing and so should be near his apartment. Perhaps she's observing him from an adjacent building. At one point, Carrie even teases him, claiming she was watching him from apartment 12, which is a few buildings away in the same complex. He went out himself looking for the apartment, but there was no apartment number 12. This was merely a game Carrie played with Dave, which is comparable to a psychological thriller movie. Things got worsened after Carrie sent him images of Liz's place. The photographs depicted various harsh words spray-painted on her walls. Dave's pulse beats quickly, and he rushes up to Liz's apartment to ensure her safety. When he got there, he was relieved to see Liz was fine. He hugged her and slept at Liz's place for the night. It appeared that both of them were victims of Carrie's madness. On another instance of pure haunting nature, Carrie sent him a photo of his apartment while he was at his repair shop. It showed Liz's clothes shredded with a knife. He thought Liz was harmed and therefore he rushed to his apartment, but no one was there. Liz eventually returned, and he was relieved she wasn't at home when Carrie broke into his apartment. What if Liz had been at his apartment at that time? Would she have been hurt? He was very concerned. On another instance, Carrie claimed she kidnapped Liz and texted him that she would not let her go unless he dumped Liz and began seeing her again. She said she can't stand Liz taking away what she owns. She added, "Do it or say goodbye to her." Dave realized it was all baloney and left the mail unopened. Just to be sure, he texted Liz, who thanked him for being there for her. In January 2013, 2 months after she was last seen, Dave ran into Carrie's car. There was no one inside. The cops had taken control of the vehicle and conducted a fingerprint test. Unknown DNA was discovered matching no plausible suspects. Months would pass, and no one had seen Carrie except for the horrible texts and emails she sent. This lasted until August 2013, when Liz's home was allegedly set on fire by Carrie Farver. Fortunately, Liz and her 2 children were not home. Her pets, including a dog, a cat, and a snake, were burnt along with the house. Aside from her pets, no one was injured. After the fire, Liz would move out but didn't tell anyone where. Time would pass, and Carrie's texts and emails became less frequent and soon died down. Nobody knew where Carrie went, and police appear to have put the case in a corner. That is until 2015, when a pair of young detectives, attracted by the nature of the case, arrived on the scene. They were taken aback by the fact that Carrie was never seen again but continues to text her family, Dave and Liz, via text messages and emails. They questioned if Carrie was actually the one doing all this. One of them went to speak to Carrie's mother, Nancy. Nancy was initially hesitant to talk to the police. This is because during the earlier interview with the police, they assumed Carrie was involved in the stalking and ongoing harassment of Dave Krupa and Liz Golyar. She knew her daughter was incapable of such actions. She is still hoping for her daughter's safe return, and she didn't expect Carrie to go crazy over a man. Carrie was known for her kindness and gentle nature. It is quite unusual of her to leave Max, her only son, alone. According to the 2 detectives, the messages, the emails, and the social media posts alone were not proof that Carrie is still alive. They examined the initial investigators' photos taken from Carrie's home when she disappeared. They do not show Carrie leaving for Kansas and moving there, as she had told her mother. The closet was still full of clothes, and her belongings were still in the house. It was as if she was returning the same day. After she went missing, there were 2 transactions in her bank account, followed by nothing after that. How does Carrie Farver survive without money for that long? Carrie did not even come to her father's funeral, who had died during her disappearance. Carrie adored her father, and the reality that her own son is now only in the care of his grandma is inexplicable. Detectives just knew Carrie wasn't the one sending the messages and emails, therefore they contacted an IT specialist who can track the source of these messages and find out who was sending them. Every device when using the internet has a unique ID assigned to it. This is known as an IP address. We can determine the location of the device that transmitted the messages by tracing its IP address. To their astonishment, authorities tracked down the source in Council Bluffs, Iowa, at the home of a coworker who works for the police. His name is Todd Butterbaugh. This was a difficult position, but they were able to obtain a search warrant for his house. Todd had an on-again, off-again relationship with his girlfriend, Liz Golyar. She had been residing at his house since her own was set on fire. Todd informed detectives that Liz had been using his Wi-Fi for years. Every message and email sent to Dave, Liz, Nancy, and Max originated on Liz's phone and laptop. Everyone felt Liz was the victim, but that is no longer the case. She was the one who sent all the messages and stalked Dave and Liz. It did not take long for authorities to identify Liz as the primary suspect in Carrie's disappearance. Earlier investigations took both Dave and Liz's phones to look for any clues or anything odd, but they had overlooked one vital clue. On Liz's phone, police discovered a photo of Carrie's car taken on Christmas Eve of 2012. Carrie's car wasn't recovered until January 8, 2013. This indicates Liz was concealing something. Authorities installed a monitoring device in Liz's car without her knowledge to monitor her movements. They discovered that Liz would circle Dave's ex-girlfriend Amy Flora's house on a daily basis. Amy would begin to get threatening texts from Carrie Farver, stating that if she did not leave Dave alone, she would take her children. Dave would frequently come to retrieve his children from Amy. Amy was nervous and apprehensive anytime she went out and kept a tight eye out on her children. On the night of December 5th, 2015, a 911 call was made by Liz. She sounded in considerable pain because she was shot in the leg. She was bleeding profusely. Liz told dispatcher that Amy had shot her with a rifle she stole from Dave's house. She told the operator that Amy had been the one stalking her, and not Carrie Farver as she previously thought. She claimed Amy had pretended to be Carrie and had been stalking her and Dave for several years. Liz was transported to the hospital for medical treatment. Investigators knew Liz was lying and had shot herself to frame Amy Flora. Liz was called into the interrogation room after she was released from the hospital. Throughout the conversation, she presented Amy Flora as the perpetrator of all stalking and threats. Investigators played along with her and supported her claim that Amy was responsible for Carrie's disappearance and shooting in the leg. She was then let go. Investigators needed more from her. They need her to describe in detail how Carrie was murdered. They set up one plan. They asked Dave to stay at Amy's place and get Liz's reaction. Their plan worked. Liz reacted violently. Liz was upset when she found out Dave was staying at Amy's and called the police to arrest Amy as quickly as possible.
Here, Dodie?
Yeah.
Who am I speaking to here?
Liz.
Liz, what's going on?
She's still not arrested. She gets to shoot somebody, and then she gets to kill another person, and then she gets to move in with Dave, and she gets to be free, and you guys aren't arresting her.
There's only so much I can do if Amy's not talking to us. You still there?
Yeah.
If she does let you know some more specifics, that's the kind of stuff that makes a case.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
She presented to the authorities emails from Amy that she had sent to herself alleging Amy had threatened to shoot her again. In these emails, Amy stated that she was the one who killed Carrie Farver. She described how she attacked Carrie inside her own car, took Carrie's life from behind as she drove, and burned her body. Authorities knew Liz was composing emails to herself under Amy's name, setting up Amy for the murder. Carrie's car was checked for any traces of evidence. They discovered blood smears on the front seat of her automobile. Carrie Farver's blood was confirmed by a forensic examination. This meant Carrie was most likely no longer in this world. They also discovered fingerprints in a mint can, which were forensically proven to be Liz's. Liz Golyar was arrested in 2016 and charged with first-degree murder. She denied any role in Carrie's death, as well as producing bogus emails and sending proxy text messages under Carrie Farver's name. She was eventually convicted guilty of first-degree murder, impersonating Carrie Farver, and arson for destroying her own home. Carrie's mother was happy to learn that the person responsible for her daughter's disappearance had been punished, but added nothing could heal the emptiness left by Carrie. That is it, folks. This is the bizarre case of Liz Golyar, a lady who is willing to go miles simply to satisfy her jealousy and obsession with Dave Krupa. Hope you enjoyed. Do like this video and subscribe. Cheers.